dress at Stanley's. February had arrived and it was nearly time for carnival. The little forest friends were discussing what costumes they would have. "It's a shame that the fancy dress ball can only have one winner," Bubble announced unexpectedly. "Last year, Sophia won with her sunshine costume and it was very pretty. But I also like Stanley's dice costume and Eddie's chef's outfit." "I agree," Dolly added. "What if we change the competition this year? And we dress up in groups. The girls could be angels and the boys devils. Or we could be fruit and vegetables," the ladybird girl explained. "What a splendid idea!" And so they agreed that the boys would be fruit and the girls would be vegetables. Then they decided who would be what. The boys: Stanley, pear; Eddie, peach; Balthazar, grape; Berry, apple; Bubble, strawberry; Morris, fig; the woodworm, cherry; Charlie, pineapple; Frank, lemon; the firebug, apricot; Alfonso, banana; Dr. Owl, melon; the fireflies, blackberry, raspberry, blueberry, blackcurrant and plum. The girls: Dolly, carrot; Flutter, potato; Leapy, onion; Zafia, squash; Rosita, cabbage; Iris, broccoli; Betty, aubergine; the Ant Queen, pumpkin; Odette, cucumber; the Star Girl, lettuce; the fireflies, beetroot, radish, pepper, tomato and kohlrabi. A week passed and the day of the ball arrived. The little beetles arrived in their new costumes at Stanley's house. Dr. Owl's watermelon costume was a great success, but they all loved each other's costumes. Then Snail, Sam and Katie arrived. "Hi, we decided to come along too." But Snail, Sam and Katie lived on a faraway island, and they had no way of knowing that everyone had come as a fruit or vegetable. Sam was dressed as a basketball, and Katie had come in a pencil costume. "We need to alter your costumes," Stanley stated. Alfonso immediately knew what to do. "I know! The yellow pencil can be a sweet corn, and if we take the black stripes off the basketball, it can be an orange," he suggested. "That's a super idea," the friends agreed, and they quickly transformed the new guests' costumes. Now Katie could join the vegetables with her sweet corn costume, and Snail Sam's orange outfit meant he could join the fruit. They danced until late in the evening, until Christopher the Canary arrived with a big basket of donuts. They all ate a donut and then set off home. Stanley laughed at the sight of the flying watermelon. Then Dr. Owl shouted, "Look, snowdrops!" Alfonso and Bubble rushed over and stared in wonderment at the first flowers of spring.
The Ant Choir. The little forest friends decided to bid farewell to the year with a concert. "Tomorrow's going to be the last day of the year," Dr. Owl announced. "Everyone needs to be here by nightfall and we'll make music together. I shall be the conductor." "The ant choir will sing and we'll accompany them on bells, rattles and drums," said Dolly the ladybird girl. But where will we get things like that from? We should make them ourselves, Flutter suggested. Come over to my house tomorrow and bring anything that might be useful with you. Conkers, pine cones, sticks. I've got a whole box of bells. I'll bring that too, said Iris the ice beetle. Hooray! That's a super idea, the others cheered. They all got up very early the next morning and met at Flutter's house. They started designing their instruments. They soon had lots of drawings of their designs. They all made different things. Dolly blew an egg, put rice in it, placed it between 2 spoons and wrapped sticky tape around the whole thing. It made a super little rattle. Bubble put little pebbles in a tin can. It was much louder than Dolly's. Stanley made a funny drum out of a round box, a few wooden beads, strings and a stick. Berry filled a cardboard tube with beans. Balthazar made a conker rattle. He drilled a hole in a handful of conkers, threaded them on a piece of wire and jangled them with pride. Flutter found some metal bottle tops, tied them on strings and then tied the strings to the end of a stick. It made a great clattering sound. They all practiced enthusiastically with their instruments and the whole house was shaking from the din when Iris walked in. I've lost my bells, she sobbed sadly. Let's go and look for them, Berry suggested. They'll be by the side of the path somewhere. All we have to do is follow the sledge path. They all set out into the snowy forest. They looked for the bells all over the place and searched every little bit of hill, but the bells were nowhere to be found. That's impossible! They can't have disappeared. Now there'll be no lovely bells at the concert. Oh, yes, there will, Berry reassured her. Don't be so sad, Iris. I'll go and fetch the wind chime that Father Christmas gave me. As night fell, all the forest friends gathered on the side of the hill. The only one missing now is Dr. Owl. We can't start our concert without a conductor, the Ant Queen complained. Here he is! Dr. Owl has arrived! Stanley shouted out, and he pointed into the night sky. Look what I've brought! My little bells! Did you find them? Iris asked, sounding a little surprised. Yes, I saw them twinkling down on the snowy ground and I picked them all up, the old owl said proudly. That's why we couldn't find anything on the hill, Iris chuckled, and she gave Dr. Owl a hug. The ant choir began to sing, and their song floated up into the night sky. The fireflies rang Iris's bells, the others rattled their rattles, and music filled the forest. They sang and played until dawn the next day, and they all welcomed in the new year with friendly cheer. The Puppet Show. One sunny summer morning, Berry knocked hard on Dolly's door. It's the puppet show today. Let's go and tell Flutter and Eddie too. Berry and Dolly's first stop was at the pretty butterfly's house. Wake up, Flutter. The fleas are going to give a puppet show. It's Snow White. The little friends stopped in front of the potato beetle's house. Eddie, are you coming to see the puppet show? But Eddie didn't open his door. Hurry up, Eddie, we're going to be late, Berry shouted, but there was still no answer. Flutter gently turned the handle and popped her head inside. Are you still in your pyjamas, Eddie? Berry grumbled. Hurry up and get dressed. I'm not going. My tummy's covered in nasty bites. It really itches, Eddie sobbed. Let me have a look, Dolly told him. They're not bites. You've got chicken pox, the ladybird girl told her sickly friend. There's no need to be scared. I've had them already, and I had thousands of spots. I'll go and get Dr. Owl, Dolly announced. He'll know what to do. Dr. Owl soon arrived and took a good look at Eddie. It's definitely chickenpox. Chickenpox is contagious, Eddie. I'm afraid you won't be able to go to the puppet show. Contagious? Does that mean Berry, Dolly and Flutter are going to catch my chickenpox? No, don't worry. You can only catch chickenpox once, and they all had it last year. You mustn't scratch your spots. There'll be another puppet show, Berry reassured him. Don't be sad, you'll get better soon, Dolly smiled. Berry, Dolly and Flutter said goodbye to the little potato beetle and hurried off to see the puppet show. The puppet show was already set up in the meadow, and the puppeteers were 5 fleas. The curtains soon opened, and the puppet show began. They all watched the rest of the puppet show and clapped loudly at the end. The flea puppeteers came out from behind the tent and took a bow. It's such a shame that Eddie couldn't come with us, Dolly said with a sad smile. I'm sure he'd have really liked it. Why don't we put a puppet show on for him? Dolly suddenly suggested. That's a super idea, Dolly, Flutter said. And the 3 friends were soon all hard at work. Flutter drew dwarves, Dolly drew Snow White and the Prince, and Berry drew the Wicked Queen. Then they cut their drawings out and glued them onto sticks. When they were ready, they all crept under Eddie's window and tapped on the glass. The little potato beetle opened the window and looked out. Let the puppet show begin, Berry announced, and the 3 friends started the show. Thank you, he said. You're the best friends a beetle could have. Dr. Owl came back 10 days later, and all Eddie's spots had gone. The Missing Nuts. Hello, Berry. Hurry up. Let's go and see Reggie Squirrel. We really should say goodbye to him before he hibernates for winter, Dolly the ladybird said. Berry put on his hat, scarf and gloves, and the 2 friends made their way to Reggie Squirrel's home. Their friend the squirrel was sitting on a branch in front of his home. We wanted to say goodbye before you snuggle up to sleep through the chilly winter, Dolly shouted up to Reggie. Why don't you come up for a glass of juice and a quick nut snack? Reggie suggested. Look at all the yummy food I've gathered for winter. My pantry's full. But oh dear, to everyone's surprise, the pantry was completely empty. Oh my, where have all my hazelnuts and walnuts gone? Where are my delicious pine cones, acorns and raisins? I think this might be where the nuts rolled out, Berry said, pointing to a little hole in the corner of the pantry. Someone's been chewing the tree trunk, Dolly said in surprise. And I think I know who it was, the little snail added. "Don't worry, Reggie. We'll catch the troublemakers and find your nuts."
"And don't forget the pine cones and acorns too,"
the squirrel added. The two friends headed towards the big meadow. They heard loud laughter as they got closer. "I knew it was them. They're always getting into some sort of trouble," Dolly whispered to Berry. "I'm sure they're doing something naughty right now," Berry added. "Someone chewed a hole in Reggie Squirrel's tree trunk right outside his pantry. And now all of his nuts are missing." "It was you lot, wasn't it?" Berry asked. "But we didn't mean any harm. We were just chewing the bark like we always do, and we didn't know that his pantry was on the other side," the smallest bark beetle explained. "What can we do to help?" "Come with us and we'll find the nuts that rolled away. We haven't got that much time. It could start to snow at any minute. We'll never be able to find his food in the snow, so hurry." They all took a close look at the tree trunk.
"The nuts all rolled out here and then they fell to the ground and carried on rolling down the hill,"
Reggie explained. The gang of friends found Reggie's goodies in a pile at the bottom of the hill.
"Hooray!"
Reggie shouted with delight.
"Would you please bring all the food back to my home while I patch the hole up in my pantry?"
Reggie told the bark beetles. They carefully placed the hazelnuts, walnuts and acorns back in his pantry. Berry and Dolly gave them a hand. They worked as fast as they could, but it got dark very quickly, and they still had a huge stack left at the bottom of the hill. "We'll never finish in time," one of the bark beetles sighed. "We could really use some extra help," another added. Berry the snail suddenly sprang to his feet and left in a hurry without saying a word. He was soon back and had a trumpet in his hand. He blew it so loudly that everybody could hear it. Soon all the friends in the forest gathered. Dolly climbed up on a big boulder and told them all what had happened to Reggie Squirrel's winter food supply. "All the nuts rolled out of the hole. We've got to take the food back to Reggie's home. If you all help, it can be done before dark." "Ready, set, go," Berry said, and he lifted a nut from the pile. He gave it to Dolly. She handed it to one of the bark beetles. The bark beetle gave it to the bee handed it to the dragonfly, and so it moved back up the hill to the squirrel's pantry. By the time the moon appeared in the sky, all the hazelnuts, acorns, walnuts and chestnuts were safely stowed away in Reggie Squirrel's winter home. Reggie happily put the last nut back in his packed pantry.
"Thank you. I'm so glad I've got so many good friends. It's time for me to tuck myself up in bed before it starts snowing. See you again in spring."
The grateful squirrel yawned. Earache. It was a sunny autumn afternoon and Dolly decided to go and see her friend Berry. "I'm going down to the stream to collect pebbles. Do you want to come?" But Berry didn't feel like going out to play. "I don't know, Dolly. I'm very cold and I've got a headache and my ears really hurt." "Oh, Berry, your ears are all red," Dolly said. "And you've got a temperature. I'll fly and fetch Dr. Owl." The ladybird flew straight to Dr. Owl's tree. "Dr. Owl, you need to come quickly. Berry feels very poorly." Dr. Owl quickly packed his doctor's bag, put on his white coat and hurried to see the sickly snail.
"Hello there, Berry. Let me have a look at you. I need to listen to your chest."
So Berry took off his pyjama top and breathed in like the doctor said.
"Open wide. I need to look at your throat now."
"I don't want to," Berry snapped.
"But I have to see if it's red or not," Dr. Owl explained and shone a torch down the little snail's throat. "And now I'll take a peek inside your ear."
This was really too much for Berry. He started to cry and clamped his hands over his ears. "Don't be silly, Berry. It won't hurt a bit." And Dolly held Berry's hand to make him feel better. She was right. It didn't hurt a bit.
"Well, Berry,"
Dr. Owl explained.
"You've bad earache. You've gone and caught a nasty cold. You need to have a spoonful of this medicine every day. Drink lots of sweet tea and put bags of warm wheat on your ears."
Berry's friends came to help him right away. Balthazar brought honey, Flutter bought chamomile flowers, and Stanley brought rose hips, and they made tea for the patient. Dolly warmed the wheat in a pan and poured it into little cloth bags. "Hold these on your ears until they cool down." Berry put the bags on and didn't take them off until they cooled down. Next morning, Dolly found a handful of shiny pebbles on Berry's table. "Wow, Berry, lovely pebbles. Who gave you these?" "I found them down by the stream," Berry said proudly. "You went down to the stream?" Dolly asked angrily. "That was very silly, Berry. You're still not better. You'll get sick again." And Dolly was right. Berry was soon back in bed with a temperature. His little friends came to visit him every day. They read him stories and put on puppet shows. But just as Berry started to get better, Dolly started feeling worse. Now she'd got earache, and this time Berry took care of Dolly. He made her tea and warmed the wheat bags for her ears. Now it was time for Dr. Owl to pay Dolly a visit.
"Gracious me, it seems we have a new patient. I think you must have caught it from Berry."
He told Dolly exactly what to do. Then he took another quick look at Berry.
"You look well enough, but I'll examine you just in case. Everything's fine. You've made a full recovery, little snail."
Another few days passed. Dolly did as she was told and took her medicine. She drank plenty of tea and stayed in bed, and she soon felt much better. Dr. Owl came to see her one last time and told her she was fine. "So now we can go down to the stream together and collect pebbles." Berry was very excited. "Hooray! Let's all go down to the stream!" Dr. Owl's 3 chicks tweeted.
"Remember to dress up nice and warm. It's cold outside."
But there was no need to warn Dolly and Berry. They both wore a scarf, a hat, and warm boots. They stayed and played until it got dark and collected a whole bucket full of shiny pebbles.